I played a Gish from, first to 20th level, and I even had 6 fighter levels, and everything else was wizard. But still, like at some point, the halfling rogue, ended up with more hit points than my dwarf wizard fighter, right? And like,
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds.
All right, so what's on the chopping block today, sir?
So today we're going to be taking a look at the Bladesinger for 5e, 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and we are going to be like, well, we're playing a Bladesinger, and we're going to get access to feats. What feats should we take? And also, like, our Bladesingers don't have to be elven or half-elven anymore, so we can be any race, doesn't matter. And we can still be a Bladesinger. So, like, if you want to go human, you could get that extra feat. If you were to go and play in a Dragonlance game, when that comes out, you're going to get 2 extra feats. And I believe some of the ones on their lists are ones that we would actually have wanted anyway. So,
indeed. Skilled or tough right at first level really helps out a character that's moving in the direction of a Bladesinger.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to kind of dive in and take a look at the Bladesinger and the feats that we think would be the most beneficial. We're going to pick our top 5 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons feats for you to check out, and you can decide whether we hit it or we missed it in the comments down below.
Well, you know what goes along with Bladesingers? And that's going to be magic weapons. Is there anywhere that, somebody might be able to get some magic weapons for their Bladesinger?
Well, I heard these nerds on the interwebs, YouTube specifically, created something called the Mage Forge, which consists of 250 magic items that were crafted and created by us and put onto fantastic, awesome-looking tarot cards with full illustrations, color-coded, all that good stuff to make it easier for you to find the ones that you're looking for to get out your players. Or you just pull them out randomly, you give them to your players. But there will be a link down in the description. You can still pre-order the Mage Forge over on BackerKit. Link in the description.
All right, so let's dive into our top 5 feats for the Bladesinger.
All right, so we're going to pull up D&D Beyond on our handy-dandy devices here because it's super convenient. So the first one I got is Fighting Initiate. Prerequisite is proficiency with a martial weapon. We're a Bladesinger. We get that. Then, depending on what race you choose, you might get a bunch more. It also depends on what version of the races you're using as well. So it's all very confusing now. So your martial training has helped you develop a particular style of fighting. As a result, you learn one fighting style option of your choice from fighter class. If you already have a style, the one you choose must be different. Whenever you reach a level that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can replace this feat's fighting style with another one from the fighter class that you don't have. And this is in Tasha's Cauldron to everything. Super useful. And we're also looking at very specific fighting styles.
So we're looking at either defensive, dueling, or 2-weapon fighting. Those styles are going to be very advantageous for a Bladesinger. I would lean heavily towards the first 2, either dueling or defensive. But hey, you want to swing 2 weapons, go for it. I think there's some bonus action things that Bladesingers might be wanting to do, like spells and what have you. But hey, you do you. And, whether you're getting more armor class or more damage, all 3 of those are going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, it's super useful. Now, I will say with the fighting styles and the Bladesinger, obviously something that's giving you more bonuses of damage is going to be super helpful. Like you pointed out, bonus actions, like there's a bunch of spells you might want to cast instead, so that makes it hard. And then the other thing, anything involving shields, forget about it. You're not going to use as a Bladesinger because you can't use your blade song and use a shield. Yeah. Anything that you're going to two-hand, you're not going to isn't going to work either.
Correct. So the next up, I actually feel is kind of like the go-to must-have for a Bladesinger, and that's going to be Warcaster. Prerequisite, the ability to cast at least 1 spell. You have practiced casting spells in the midst of combat, learning techniques that grant you the following benefits. You have advantage on con saves that you make to maintain concentration on a spell when you take damage. You can perform the somatic components of spells even when you have weapons or a shield in one or both hands. When a hostile creature's movement provokes an attack of opportunity, you can use your reaction to cast a spell at the creature rather than making an opportunity attack. The spell must have at least a casting time of 1 action and must target only that creature. I think, given the advantage on con saves and the cast a spell as a reaction, that's going to super make your Bladesinger that much more offensive and amazing.
Well, I think the overlooked part is the component, right? The spell component as well, that you don't have to have your hands free anymore. So that becomes super useful as well. But yeah, imagine like someone tries to retreat from you and you hit them with an attack of opportunity and a disintegrate spell, right? Like you can do some really severe damage with that. And also as a Bladesinger, you're already adding your, I believe your intelligence mod to your concentration checks, right? So, and then get advantage on top of that is huge. You're never gonna lose a spell.
I wouldn't say never,
Yeah.
but the chances become that much greater. And when you are talking about losing a spell, like those kind of things hurt, especially because like you're already in the thick of battle because you're playing a Gish character. Your hit points are lower, so whatever effect you've got on you, you want to keep on. So you definitely want to make that happen.
Yeah, and when you combine that too with the Bladesinger's ability to sack out a spell to block some of the damage, like because for every spell level you're blocking out 5 points of damage, but really you double that when it comes to concentrating because that that's how much is going to affect the DC by. So that could be a big deal. Like a second level spell, it's only 10 hit points, but 20 points worth of blocking out whether you're going to lose that spell or not. I used to think that ability was useless because I was like, well, why are you going to want to do that? But then some of the arguments in the comments really turned my opinion around on that. I'm like, well, you know what? That makes sense. Instead of, recasting your haste spell or whatever, or no, even worse, haste leaves you fatigued for a round, right?
Yeah, you lose an entire turn.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is really detrimental because, again, you're in the middle of combat. If you're going to be incapacitated for a round, that really, sets the enemy up to just do some serious hurting on you, and that's no good.
Yeah, well, not just like that, but also then like if you want to put that spell back on, it's another part of the action economy, right? Mm-hmm. So that particular spell is a double whammy, but I feel like haste is also a really popular spell for Gish characters. I personally love haste when I play Gish.
Haste is, if you're a melee combatant, I think there's very few things that are as good as haste.
Next up, I'm going to say tough. Your hit point maximum increases by the amount to twice your level when you gain the feat. Whenever you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. The biggest problem with playing a Gish is you don't have enough hit points. I played a Gish from 1st to 20th level, and I even had 6 fighter levels, and everything else was wizard. But still, like at some point, the halfling rogue ended up with more hit points than my dwarf wizard fighter, right? And I could do tricks where I didn't get hit very often, but when I did get hit, it was a crit and half my hit points were gone.
Yeah, it was a rough scenario, and I was a DM in that particular game, and really be like, all right, well, if I'm gonna be swinging at Dave's dwarf wizard, I'm going to have to arrange things to get advantage, have high bonuses. So, when it would happen, it was going to be a crit. And it was no joke for that dwarf. But, so tough adds those extra hit points, and they are much needed. And whether you take that early on or whether you take that, tail end of the game, getting access to additional 40 hit points is an absolute game changer for the Bladesinger. So the next one up is actually, split between 3 different feats, though you probably wouldn't be taking all of them. And that's going to be Slasher, Piercer, and Crusher. So Slasher is you've learned how to cut to the greatest results, granting you the following benefits. It's a half feat, so you get a +1 to strength or dex. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals slashing damage, you can reduce the speed of the target by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. And when you score a critical hit that deals slashing damage to a creature, you grievously wound it. Until the start of your next turn, the target has disadvantage on attack rolls.
So, yeah, I mean, it's super useful. It's going to give you control abilities. It's a half feat. And also, it's going to give you, that, control feature that you can do every round.
Piercer is you have achieved a penetrating precision in combat. It's, again, a half feat, strength or dex by 1. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals piercing damage, you can reroll one of the attack's damage dice, and you must use the new roll. So it's a great way to get rid of those ones. And when you score a critical hit that deals piercing damage to a creature, you can roll 1 additional damage die when determining the extra piercing damage the target takes. And another great one that just, ups the damage, of it. And again, a half feat. And then Crusher, you're practicing the art of crushing your enemies, granting you the following benefits. Your strength or con increases by 1. Once per turn when you hit a creature with an attack that deals bludgeoning damage, you can move it 5 feet to an unoccupied space, provided the target is no more than one size category larger than you. And when you score a critical hit that deals bludgeoning damage, attack rolls against the creature are made with advantage until the start of your next turn. Which, that is great if that happens on your first attack, because then all of your attacks and your allies' attacks then have advantage on it.
So yeah, they're great. I've used at least one of those so far. We've used a couple different in builds that are really fun to use. So, and with all of them, you're either going to be able to take that +1 to con or dexterity, which are going to be super useful for a Bladesinger or any melee combatant for sure.
Indeed.
So last up, we've got Telekinetic. And this one is when you learn to move things with your mind, granting you the following benefits: increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip. You can cast it without verbal or somatic components, and you can make the spectral hand invisible. If you already know this spell, its range increases by 30 feet when you cast it, and spellcasting ability for this is whatever you increased. As a bonus action, you can try to telekinetically shove one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. When you do so, the target must succeed on a strength saving throw, DC 8, the usual for that, or be moved 5 feet toward you or away from you. A creature can willingly fail this save. So it gives you a control effect. It either gives you a cantrip or enhances the cantrip you already have. Personally, I would want to take this feat after already having it. Having that extra range is really cool. I usually take Mage Hand anyway.
Right.
This is going to give you utility in combat and outside of combat.
Yeah, I think this one is a no-brainer. As I mentioned earlier, there's options that you can use your bonus action for, and this is one of those things. Whether you're putting out spells on the battlefield and creating some terrain hazards, this is a way that you can kind of manipulate and get them towards it, whether you're pulling them in or pushing them towards it. It's a great way. You can shove them off a cliff. You can shove them into thorns, into fire, all of the great things. And D&D is a great asset of, tactics on the battlefield if you're playing with a map. And that's one of the elements of it that I do really enjoy. So anything that's going to allow you to kind of get them out of melee combatant with you and possibly into a hazard is a win-win.
Yeah, and also it's a push or pull, so 5 feet either direction. Also, you can use it to, for battlefield control for your allies. They can choose to fail the save. There's no damage or anything involved. You can pull them out of combat so they're not engaged and they can move away without taking attacks of opportunity. The enemies are harrying your cleric, pull them out of there. Then they can use their action to move away, or they can use their movement to move away, and they don't have to worry about, attacks of opportunity or have to dash or use their disengage or any of that. They just get out of the way. So there's some utility there.
Absolutely. And that's outside of that's just the combat side, whereas like outside of combat you can use it to help solve puzzles or to do things that are just generally interact with the world around you and have fun or make things easier.
And did we mention it's a half feat, so you can also increase your intelligence as well. So I feel like that comes in pretty handy. So we had a couple like honorable mentions, right? And if you decide to go fighting with 2 weapons, right, you're probably not going to take telekinetic. You already have something used for your bonus action. But what would be great is dual wielder, which you master fighting 2 weapons, gaining the following benefits. You get a +1 bonus to AC while you're wielding a separate melee weapon in each hand. You can use 2-weapon fighting even when the one-handed melee weapon you're wielding aren't light, so 2 longswords, 2 rapiers, however you want to do it. You can draw or stow 2 one-handed weapons when you would normally be able to draw or stow only 1. So basically, and also you might, if you go with the fighting style and you have another way you gain a fighting style, like defensive and dual wielder, that's like having a shield. And also, most of the builds I've seen for the Bladesinger really revolve around building your AC and being tanky that way. Mm-hmm. So this is just another way to add another +1 on.
Sure. The other one that we're looking at as an honorable mention is going to be Sentinel. You have master techniques to take advantage of every drop in an enemy's guard, gaining the following benefits. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. So if you combine this with Warcaster and you use a spell that makes an attack roll, that's going to double up because you technically did make an attack on them. Creatures provoke opportunity attacks from you even if they take the disengage action before you're leaving your reach. Again, works super well with Warcaster. And when a creature within 5 feet of you makes an attack against a target other than you, and that target doesn't have this feat, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon against the attacking creature. So this one, it doesn't change it into an opportunity attack, but it's still going to allow you to kind of get that swing and use that reaction and do some more damage on the battlefield.
Yeah, it's just another attack. It's another way to use your reaction. Now, the reason why Sentinel didn't go into the top 5 is because you really, like, that last thing, you already have a lot of things to do with your reactions as a Bladesinger. You're probably not even going to use it. But if the attack of opportunities do come up, it is super useful, and you can also lock an opponent down with it. So
Indeed.
So there's that. But let us know how you build your Bladesingers down in the comments below.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Even go ahead and click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos here on the channel, so come on back. Can't wait till then. No worries, we've got you covered. There's a card up here. You can check it out. D&D Feats, A Wizard's Guide.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.